I want to make Caitlyn Jenner cry. Okay. Before you all start getting upset, assuming that I'm bashing or some nonsense like that, let me just preface this with saying I don't want to hurt anyone, and I don't want to bash anyone, because I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. That's not why I'm saying this. When I say... Alright, look, you know how people have voices. They're the voices you hear pretty constantly. I mean, odds are if you've spoken to someone, you've heard the voice that they use, because there's a catalog of voices that people have for different circumstances. We all know that your bedroom voice is going to be significantly different than the voice that you use when talking to your mailman. Unless you're in a porno, then they usually go hand in hand. Or cock in hand. And on very rare occasions do we get to hear someone's default voice. The voice that is their go-to voice. Their voice when none of their mental defenses are working, when their brain is just spitting out information and using the mouth hole to do it. Now, one of the instances in which someone does this, when they're not on guard and their defenses have been removed and they're speaking purely in their default voice, their Times New Roman voice, their font size 22 voice, is when they're crying. When you cry, you do not have any defenses at all. Well, your defenses have been bypassed, so to speak. So, any and all safeguards or programs that you have running in your brain at the time that cause you to speak a certain way melt. They fall apart. So, like, right now, how I'm talking, when I cry, they're not the same. And believe me, I cry enough to note how my voice sounds. Just watch any movie in which an actor has to cry. Their voice is not the same. There is no instance in which you're crying and your voice is exactly the same, because you don't have the ability to put thought into it, because you're just overwhelmed. You're just speaking. And that's why I want to make Caitlyn Jenner cry. Now, like I said, it's not because I want to make Caitlyn Jenner cry, and just to have her cry, and it's not because I want to hurt Caitlyn Jenner. It's because I think it'd be really funny to have someone who looks like a cross between Rene Russo and that chick from American Horror Story, the older one, Jessica Lange. To have someone who looks like that, but with a really deep voice and sobbing. And for me, the thought just tickles me. I mean, come on. We all know that whenever we see a guy crying in a movie and just bawling, it's funny, because we know how the voice deteriorates. I'd like to see Caitlyn Jenner do that. Because we know that Caitlyn Jenner is transgender, from male to female. Now, what she really may be is female, but the fact of the matter is at the beginning, Caitlyn Jenner was a guy. Okay? That's not speaking to personal preference, that's not speaking towards bias, that is representing fact. Caitlyn Jenner may have been assigned the wrong gender, but unfortunately, that gender in the beginning was a guy. So, that's why I'd like to see Caitlyn Jenner cry. Well, I don't want to make her cry, but if, worst comes to worst, and, I've got to tear a hole in her new Versace dress or whatever, and, get those tears flowing, then, someone's got to be that guy. I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm just saying I would like to. Much in the same way I would like someone to go back in time and stop Derek Jeter from giving herpes to half of Hollywood. I would appreciate that. And if at all possible, I mean, if it wasn't possible to prevent the acquiring of herpes or him being born, for there to be a horrific mandolining accident in his past, where he accidentally, mandolins off his penis. Just whatever keeps him from infecting Jessica Alba and Scarlett Johansson with herpes. Purportedly. They're purportedly infected with herpes. So, yeah. I'd like to see Caitlyn Jenner cry. I mean, I don't want to have to be the one to make her cry, but if I have to, I would make her cry. Because it would be funny to have someone who looks like that start bawling, but with, the voice that guys get when they cry. I don't have any real friends. I just go for yeah, what have I done with my life? I don't know what have I done? I want to retail. Ah!